buongiorno.
Here we are. Good afternoon, and welcome back to our second session of the Wine Generation Forum.
To all the friends joining us from the other sides of the world today. And it's a great pleasure for me to introduce you the second session of the Wine Generation Forum. We will have an incredible panel of speakers today joining us from different parts of the world. But we start actually from Milan, and this is possible thanks to the sponsorship of the Prosecco DOC Consortium. And I'm very pleased to introduce to you Luca Giavi, who's the director of the Prosecco DOC Consortium.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back, and thank you very much, Federico. I will speak Italian so I can better express myself and tell you why we decided for the second year in a row to support this project. Here I do not want to talk about our activity and who we are. And considering the significance of the various topics that the wine industry has been debating for long, and which are key elements: sustainability, channels, wine tourism. And then I thought I would say we are talking to young business people, but what is the opinion of young people, of youngsters, about those topics? We often make surveys as a consortium, and two of these surveys were made in late 2019 and early 2020. This is a very special year. And those surveys probably are already aged and old. Probably current data would be different. But I'm not so much interested in data, but I would like to give you some food for thought. When we talk within ourselves, in our systems, we think that our vision is the vision of the end consumers. We should look at young people not only as the current consumers, but as our future consumers. And what they see, say, is what will be the future of our production system. Those two surveys were carried out in Italy. And again, from a strategic viewpoint, we are always trying to be operational, and we always try to act. But sometimes we do not have a preventive analysis of the market needs and requirements. So, main consumption habits. While the over 55 mainly drink wine at home, young millennials and young millennials have a much lower percentage. We have young millennials, old millennials, 18, 29, 30, 38, and you see that, and I'm getting close to being 50, so I don't want to call them the elderly. Well, but we see that the trend of young millennials is to have more consumption in restaurants and in wine bars. And this is already a piece of information. And clearly, this is not such a fundamental piece of information at the current stage, but it's an analysis of their behavior. And definitely, the lockdown has changed that approach. Then how did you consume your wine? Consumption pattern. So using brick, people aged over 55 are leading, but old millennials much less. So it's not so trendy for that age bracket. Very interesting. And for us in Italy, we see that there is a desire to discover for young millennials. They drink much more foreign wine. An important desire to discover, almost twice as much than people aged over 39, drinking foreign wine. In terms of sustainability, respondents who drank organic wine, well, at the top we see old millennials, 30 to 38, 32.4%, calculated on the respondents. The percentages are all calculated on the respondents who said that they drink wine. And then the number of people who say that they purchase the wine directly from producers. Here we have an even distribution. So they purchase the wine directly from the producer. And those percentages are above 50%, but for young millennials. When do you drink wine? Young millennials, especially during the weekends, and the key to success of Prosecco, when it is during the aperitif or before dinner, cocktail, is mainly young millennials, and with whom in Italy is always in company, always with other people. And I'm very pleased to hear that, because in my opinion, and see that, because in my opinion, wine is social. And young people drink cold wine, and sparkling wines are growing. This is very interesting for me. At least 38% of young millennials. Another piece of information which is very important, because definitely we think that denominations of origin are important. And while we have two different answers, so the DOC, DOCG denomination and the region or the area of production, well, quite often people buy wines with the denomination of origin without knowing that the name of the product is part of a region. There are very many examples. While in other cases, they buy specific wines as long as they come from Piedmont, Veneto, Sicilia, or Campania, regardless from the fact that they have a denomination of controlled origin or not. And this is very important in terms of information and communication. Young millennials are much more interested in low price and promotions. There is interest for denominations of origin and the area of production. Young millennials rely on recommendations and the name of the grape varieties, though we work more on the denominations, has more or less the same significance as the other categories. The question was, think about past year. Which of these situations better describes your approach to wine? It's interesting to see the difference, the gap between young millennials and over 55 with respect to the ability to experiment and attention to corporate brands. Drinking local wines, well, the difference is much lower. And we have comparable data regarding an interest for storytelling, so the narration of wine. So, regardless from your consumption patterns, please tell us which is, in your opinion, the Italian region that produces the best wine by category. So, according to Italians, the best red wine comes from Piedmont, from Tuscany, Piedmont and Puglia. The best white wine is in Alto Adige, Veneto and Friuli, so northeast. The best rosé, but you see the percentages, the percentage of don't know is far higher, is produced in Veneto, Puglia and Piedmont. Best spumante, best sparkling wine, Veneto and Piedmont, followed by Trentino and Lombardia. But the most important data is to see whether this perception changes based on age. We have compared young millennials with over 55. Best red wine, Tuscany, Puglia and Abruzzo are the top 3 regions for young millennials, whereas for over 55, people aged over 55, the top region is Piedmont, then Tuscany and Sicily. Best white wine, we see the same perception between young millennials and over 55. As to the best rosé, again, percentages of don't know are very high. Italians don't really like rosé wines. There's a very high percentage of respondents saying I do not know, between 32 and 37%. And young millennials identify the best rosé wines in Veneto, Lombardia and Puglia, whereas over 55 rank Veneto, Puglia and Piemonte. As to best sparkling wines, young millennials see the best sparkling wine in Veneto, 23%, Piedmont and Trentino, whereas for over 55 we have Piedmont, Veneto, Trentino and Lombardia. Can we see the second set of slides now? Here we started from sustainability. And we see that sustainability matters for 57% of respondents. This grows to 66% for millennials, 61% for Generation X, and only 43% for baby boomers. Based on this response, we can say that sustainability is fundamental, and we keep saying it. But then there are some surprises. This is the following slide. Wine Monitor, the company that made the research, put it the other way around. If this is the question, how much are you interested in sustainability? Or are you interested in sustainability? An answer, yes, I'm interested, it's very high. But when we ask, if we rank your priority for purchasing, we see that all of a sudden sustainability is very low. The same thing is if we ask a lady, when you're choosing a man, do you think that beauty is significant? Everybody would say yes, but then you say, what matters more? Beautiful, smart, friendly, pleasant? And while everybody says that beauty is a value, but when we rank priorities, other elements are more important when selecting a partner, or here, when selecting wine. So the most important element when it's multiple answer, 42% the area of production, 36% denomination, and this is logic and consistent, which as only answer, or first answer is 24 or 20, but we have the same pattern. And again, the presence of green attributes, so organic, sustainable, natural, ranks 7th, because first I choose area, denomination, grape variety, price, brand, recommendation, and then green attributes. And we should think about it when we're looking at that direction. And then we should accompany this orientation to sustainability. But we shouldn't forget that we also need to work on the other attributes. It's an additional element, but it's not the main target. And I apologize for designers. I'm sorry for designers, but packaging doesn't really matter. Where are young generations buying wine? So channels. We see that the main element is the wine store or wine bar, restaurants, and online. Again, in this case, we see different decisions in terms of channels. There is a strong orientation to purchase at the winery, but there is no correlation with actual purchases, but these are consumer statements. Online is totally different, probably, if we were to ask the same question today. What do we mean by sustainability? The value, the significance that is assigned to respect for the environment is 80% for all respondents, and it increases to 84% for millennials. And here we see the analysis from local wines, local grape varieties. Here we separated organic wines, so certified organic wines versus other statements of sustainability. Given by other types of certifications. Here we see more propensity to purchase, more intention to purchase these products in millennials versus the average of other consumers. With this, we do not want to provide an answer to a specific question, but we would like to say that consumer analysis is a tool that we need to better drive our decisions, to better understand where we want to go, to better understand the results that we can achieve with our work based on our current decisions. In the next presentations, I think that we will receive answers to the various topics with the next speakers, and I hope you will enjoy this afternoon session.